Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Your Majesty, Mr. President, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, dear children joining us from around the world and for whom we are gathered here today. I am honored and humbled and delighted by the presence of such an esteemed gathering of Nobel Prize laureates, political leaders, diplomats, decision makers, international aid representatives, people from different backgrounds, but who all share one strong yet simple and basic commitment to work for a better future for children that is worthy of them, to bring back their dignity, especially those who are going through the most difficult of circumstances, so that we can put together a collective effort toward ensuring that these children live the lives that they should be living. I am proud that my country, the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, is now hosting this summit that was first initiated by Nobel Peace Prize winner Kailash Satyarthi in 2016. My gratitude goes to the Honorable Kailash Satyarthi, his team, the Panamanian and Jordanian teams, and the steering committee for their hard work to make this event happen. In the name of my brother, His Majesty King Abdullah, I would like to welcome you all in my country, Jordan, that in its time-honored tradition of hospitality, no matter how challenging, has put the protection of refugee communities and children in particular at the top of its priorities. Jordan is the largest registered and non-registered refugee hosting country in the world when compared to the size of its population. And this has been the case not just recently, but for decades. Nearly half of all refugees today are children. I am also very grateful for all those children who are joining us today to participate in their conference, alongside this gathering of minds, leaders, decision makers, and laureate winners. After all, we are here to listen to them and understand from them how our generations can improve their lives concretely. It is our duty to ensure that their future is no longer compromised. My father, the late King Hussein, once said, "We have no right to dictate through irresponsible action or narrow-mindedness the future of our children and our children's children. There has been enough destruction, enough death, enough waste, and it's time that together we occupy a place beyond ourselves, our peoples, that is worthy of them under the sun." I do hope that this movement that started in India in 2016 will continue to grow, and the motivator behind this conference will continue to grow into the most powerful of movements. Children's safety is increasingly high on the agenda of several international organizations, and not only those specifically geared towards children. It is a positive sign that so much attention is given to such a vulnerable group. However, it is also extremely alarming to fathom that it is so necessary in this day and age. Around the world, in countries and regions affected by conflict or poverty, triggered by man-made or natural disasters, or even by what is still not admitted by many politicians, but is felt in countries like Jordan, climate change, children are bearing the brunt of the suffering. I also consider misery as a chronic, pervasive form of violence inflicted on children. In Syria, for example, children are continuously losing their lives, and I don't need to repeat the heartbreaking stories and images that we have all seen, and to which many have unfortunately become desensitized. In Yemen, in the past 1,100 days of conflict, thousands of children have died from violence, hunger, or preventable diseases like cholera, away from the world's attention. A veteran correspondent who spent years in Iraq and who's still traveling courageously up and down the country says she is struck by how the world is failing Iraqi children. Be it a family of 5 children who can't have access to education because their parents can't afford $10 a month for their transportation, or an 11-year-old boy in Mosul who can't remember how to read or write and who can't sleep either, traumatized as he is by what he experienced under Daesh or ISIS rule, or a Yazidi girl in Sinjar who miraculously survived rape and enslavement, yet until today doesn't have access to clean water, aid, electricity, or proper health care. And of course, just across the Dead Sea where we are, is Palestine, whose occupation, the longest lasting and most brutal in the region, has been a source of so many wars and conflicts. On both sides of that conflict, children have suffered due to politics, but overwhelmingly, it is the Palestinian children that continue to suffer. Today, a 16-year-old girl has become a symbol of resistance and defiance. Ahed Tamimi's dreams of living the life of a normal teenager are being smashed against the walls of her cell. When hundreds of thousands of Rohingya flooded into the beaches of southern Bangladesh last summer, children made up nearly 60% of those terrified refugees. Recent news reports say that among those who fled, teenage girls are now being sold as sex slaves. A bit further, the sordid enrollment of child soldiers is still plaguing countries like Burundi, Colombia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Liberia, and Uganda. UN agencies, international organizations, and NGOs are all doing their best, even as their budgets continue to be cut. Action remains crucial, and any action needs to have humanistic values at its core. Let us not wait for political will around the world to emerge. Let us take action ourselves, and this is the forum to do it. Here and now, we can and must make a difference. You will hear from laureates and leaders present here, and most importantly, from the children themselves, what they need to become independent adults and grow up to be leaders within their communities, rather than perceived as a burden by host countries and communities. For children on the move, education is key, of course. Education can be expensive, but never remotely as close to what is being spent on weapons. Let us utilize this summit to help open the world's eyes to our children's dreams and aspirations, because they are today's hope for a better future. Thank you all, friends and colleagues, for coming from around the world to participate in this crucial summit. And thank you especially, Your Majesty, and my fellow Jordanians for your valuable support in making it happen. Thank you.